All right, let's jump right in. In just the last few weeks, the entire world of AI got flipped on its head. And I'm not talking about some minor update. No, this was a massive, seismic event that completely redrew the map of who holds the power. So today, we're going to break down exactly what happened.
Look, to get a sense of just how big of a deal this is, you only have to look at this quote. This came from a leaked internal memo from Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. You know, the company that's been the undisputed king of the hill for years. So when the guy at the top of the food chain starts sending out warnings like this, you know the game has completely changed.
And of course, people are already giving this whole moment a name: the Great Inversion. For so long, the story was simple, right? OpenAI was in the lead and everybody else was just trying to catch up. Well, that story is officially over. The age of one company ruling the AI world is done. Now we're in a full-blown, multi-front war.
So how did OpenAI handle this? They declared a code red. That's an all-hands-on-deck, company-wide emergency. And what's really fascinating is what they did. They actually stopped work on cool new products like their proactive assistant Pulse and threw all of their resources back into just making the core ChatGPT better. That's basically them admitting that their lead, their competitive moat that everyone thought was impenetrable, is pretty much vanished.
So who lit the fire that caused all this panic at OpenAI? Well, let's look at the other side of the battlefield. This all started with a huge, perfectly coordinated attack from a giant that many thought was sleeping, Google, with its new Gemini 3 ecosystem.
Yeah, the name is a little weird, I know. Nano Banana Pro. But the tech behind it is absolutely incredible. The real game changer here is what they're calling mundane realism. So forget those glossy, perfect, overly polished images we're used to seeing from AI. This thing creates photos with all the little imperfections of real life. You know, the graininess in a low light shot, or that slightly awkward angle of a selfie. And maybe most importantly, it can create perfect text, which means it can generate memes and charts that are totally indistinguishable from ones made by a person.
And as you can imagine, this caused a bit of an existential crisis online. I mean, this reaction from a forum user just says it all. When those last little telltale signs of AI are just gone, how can you believe anything you see online anymore? It's a fundamental shift.
Which really brings us to the single biggest question that this technology forces all of us to ask. When a machine can replicate reality so perfectly that it even includes the flaws, what happens to the idea of truth?
But Google didn't just stop with images. They also rolled out a platform called Anti-Gravity, and it's set to totally transform software development. The best way to think about it is this. The old way was AI as a co-pilot, where it would help you write code. The new way is AI as mission control, where you, the human, are more like an architect designing the plan, and you're managing a whole team of AI agents that do the actual work.
And here's where it gets wild. Anti-gravity works in what they call a closed loop. So the AI agent doesn't just write a piece of code. It then goes and runs the code in a terminal to test it. And then, this is the mind-blowing part, it actually opens up a web browser to look at the result and visually check if the change worked. So if a button is in the wrong place, it sees it, goes back to the code on its own, and fixes it. It's literally the entire workflow of a junior developer, just fully automated. Now, it's really tempting to look at all this and think it's just the two-horse race, right? Google versus OpenAI. But the reality is actually way more interesting than that. The whole market is fracturing into what some are calling a splinternet of AI, where different companies are becoming incredibly dominant, but in very specific areas. This chart gives you a really good snapshot of what I mean. While the big guys are fighting for general control, you've got other players carving out these super powerful niches. You've got Anthropic, who's becoming the go-to for secure coding in big companies. Elon Musk's xAI is all in on emotional intelligence, and Meta is quietly becoming the leader in computer vision. And we're not talking about small wins here. Just to give you an idea of the scale, the fintech company Brex recently said that 80%, that's 80, of their new code is now being written by Anthropic's AI. That's an insane level of trust and autonomy in a really high-stakes environment. At the same time, you have xAI's model Grok, which has managed to cut down on hallucinations, when the AI just makes stuff up, by 3 times. And its secret weapon? It has real-time access to everything happening on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, so it can ground its answers in what's happening this very second, making it way more accurate about current events than any other model out there. Okay, so we've got these tech titans locked in this epic battle. But who cares? How does any of this abstract war over AI actually impact real people?
let's bring this down from the Silicon Valley clouds to Main Street.
I mean, what does all this matter to a local plumbing business, or a hair salon, or a restaurant? Well, all this competition is forcing these AI companies to make their technology not just more powerful, but also a lot more useful for solving everyday problems.
And that's the key. This new generation of AI is being built to solve these really common, really annoying business problems. Think about it. Lost money for missed calls, the high salary of a full-time receptionist, the headache of disorganized scheduling. These are exactly the issues that companies like Voiceonic are now solving with highly specialized AI.
This is the big leap forward. We're past the point of just having a generic tool. This new wave of products is about creating a custom-built AI employee for your business. An AI receptionist that already knows all your prices, has a voice that matches your brand, and plugs directly into the booking software you're already using. It's like having a perfect employee who works 24/7 and never, ever misses a call.
So when we zoom out and look at the big picture, what does all this really add up to? Well, we are basically watching the end of the magic show phase of AI. The new reality is that AI has finally entered its industrial phase.
If you take away just one thing from all this, let it be this. The entire conversation has shifted. It's not about building a better chatbot to have a conversation with anymore. We are now officially in the agentic era. The whole game is now about building autonomous AI workers that can actually complete complex tasks all on their own.
And as we look ahead, the battlegrounds are already changing. The next big war in AI is going to be fought over agentic reliability. Can you build an AI that can work for days at a time without a human needing to step in? It's also going to be a physical war over infrastructure and the massive amounts of energy these things need. And finally, the fight will be in Washington, Brussels, and Beijing, as everyone tries to navigate the mess of global AI regulations. This breakdown was brought to you by us here at Voiceonic. If you're ready to get your own AI employee and see what it can do for your business, just head over to voiceonic.com.